What is it about the deep that fascinates us? Is it the mystery, the inaccessibility, or just our natural curiosity? Thankfully, advances in technology have made it easier for us to explore the deep sea, so we can learn more about its geology and the creatures that live there.
Some of the most fascinating questions are in the deep sea. This is the largest habitat on Earth, and yet we know the least about it of any place on our planet. It's really fundamental research, and it's really exciting research.
In 2013 and 2014, Trinidadian scientists Dr. Judith Gobin and Dr. Diva Amon took part in scientific expeditions aboard the EV Nautilus, one of the most famous exploration vessels in the world. Using the remotely operated vehicles, Hercules and Argus, the teams brought back footage of the deep seas off the coasts of Grenada and Trinidad and Tobago that had never been explored before.
In 2013, the EV Nautilus came to our very own submarine volcano in the Caribbean, which is Kikamjeni in Grenada. It was the first time we were able to see live all that was happening in our own backyard.
Our expedition is really just the beginning. There's more unexplored than explored. We have better maps of Mars than our own world.
Through the ROV and telepresence technology of the Nautilus, live footage of unexplored depths reaching 2,100 meters could be streamed right into our homes and classrooms.
Anybody who's interested can call in or send an email asking the scientists on board the vessel at the time what's going on. So it was a very interactive exploration and very exciting because we did have a lot of Caribbean students calling in.
What the Nautilus program has done is really bring the deep sea to light, to bring it to their attention and make it more accessible. I think that's really important because people forget how important the deep sea is to the global ecosystem.
The deep sea environment differs from shallower waters in several ways. First, it's very dark. As we descend, sunlight begins to fade. At a depth of 300 meters, we need the powerful lights of the ROVs to see our way. As you've probably guessed, the surface of the ocean floor is as varied as dry land, with mountains, canyons, and trenches. At 1,000 meters, the water cools to about 4 degrees Celsius. Most of the sea floor is covered with a layer of ooze made up of mud, sediment, and decomposing organic matter. The deep sea is a very difficult place to live. The environment experiences extreme pressure caused by the tremendous weight of the water pressing down from above. A body at extreme depths can experience pressure of hundreds or even thousands of pounds per square inch, enough to kill a surface-dwelling creature or even to crush a submarine. But deep-sea creatures are perfectly adapted to thrive in an environment that we are unable to enter without cutting-edge technology.
Many animals are red or purple, and this is because red is the first wavelength of light to dissipate with depth. And so that means animals that are red or variants of red means that they'll be really well hidden from predators. And alternatively, there are a lot of animals which are actually white, and that's because there's no reason for there to be colours or markings of any kind, such as on land and in shallow waters, because there's no light to see them.
Another difference is in the way creatures eat. Photosynthesis is the use of solar energy to turn carbon dioxide and water into oxygen and sugar. In the absence of sunlight, photosynthesis can't take place. Instead, most animals in the deep sea, including these tube worms, rely on a process called chemosynthesis to produce their food. This occurs at unique habitats, hydrothermal vents and coal seeps, which emit hydrogen sulfide and methane, among other substances. Bacteria use these compounds along with oxygen and water to produce the organic matter that other organisms feed on.
There are no plants and no primary producers in most of the deep ocean. And so that means that most of the food that arrives on the deep sea floor actually comes from our surface layers. In the surface layers there are zooplankton and phytoplankton, which are microscopic plants and animals, and those actually die and then sink down into the deep sea floor as a form of marine snow. And you also get plant matter, So those are termed woodfalls when they arrive in the deep sea. We don't actually know a lot about how deep sea animals find their way around or know where to navigate to. We do know how they navigate to find food though. They can either use chemosensory cues, so for instance, just like how we would smell a delicious plate of food on your table, they would use that scent, except in the water column, those chemicals, to find their way to their food. Alternatively, you get mechanosensory cues being used, and that's for instance when a large whale, their carcass arrives on the deep sea floor, the vibrations that it gives off, or the vibrations of a dying animal, those can be felt by deep sea animals and they know how to find their way to them.
In the deep sea, more than 90% of the organisms are bioluminescent or have the ability to produce light. Some glow to attract mates, while others create light to lure prey and avoid predators. Deep sea creatures have also adapted their methods of reproduction to suit their environment.
Some deep sea animals reproduce in a similar way to corals on shallow water reefs. They spawn their gametes into the water column, and there their fertilization happens and they're able to go and settle elsewhere. Other deep sea animals use internal fertilization, just like mammals do, for instance.
Life in the deep sea forms an important part of the Caribbean's biodiversity.
Biological diversity is the variety of biological organisms in any type of environment. In the deep sea environment, it is quite specific, because this is where you have a lot of very bizarre looking creatures and organisms that are adapted for that specific environment.
Though these deep sea habitats may be out of sight, they remain a vital part of our ecosystem.
The animals that we rely on as food sources visit these places, they breed in these places, they go down deep to avoid predators to have their young, and then when the young hatch and grow, they come back to the surface, and this is the foundation of our fisheries. It's the foundation of so much more in the food web.
There is great connectivity in oceans. In other words, what happens in one spot will impact or affect another area. And this is why the ecosystem resources, or what is associated with our deep sea and the deep sea communities, is very crucial.
This interconnectivity is one reason why expeditions like these are so important. The ROVs allow us to survey and document these poorly explored habitats, as well as physical collection of samples, rocks for geological study, and organisms for biological examination. This helps us to better understand the environment deep in the ocean. The better we understand it, the better we, as caretakers of the environment, can protect it and harness it for the benefit of us and the planet. As humans continue to devise ways to overcome the challenges of exploring this fascinating environment, we are more able to unravel the mysteries of the deep.